Hey, we all live.
Good evening, everyone. It is September 4th. This is a meeting of the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I'm Stephanie Mahaney, and I'm the chair. We have two items on the agenda this evening. The first is an application to the Board of Standards and Appeals by Zavarian, and they are here this evening. We have President Robert Alisi and represented by Shelley Friedman and Jesse Mallon. They will be discussing and presenting the application. It is for a variance pursuant to zoning resolution section 7221 to waive regulations for coverage, seeking a one-story addition above the existing Genesis wing and a new one-story plus basement and cellar academic addition at the Zavarian High School building. Okay, so I would like to hand it over now, Mr. Alisi, if you would like to commence.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, first of all, for allowing us to be here and getting us on the agenda in such an expeditious manner. We really appreciate that. So Zavarian High School is here tonight to seek the support of our community for our application with the Board of Standards and Appeal for the capital project that we are involved in currently. And I'm going to be very respectful of your time. I don't want to take us down a history lesson, even though I'm a teacher who would love to do that. Mr. Sharab, our principal, is a history teacher himself. I'm sure he would love to do that. But I'm certainly conscious of time and want to just kind of get to the specifics of what the project involves and why we're here to ask for support of our application. Zavarian, over the course of the last few years, has been involved in our strategic plan. Our strategic plan has been driven by, first and foremost, our mission as a Catholic school here in the community in Bay Ridge. Over the course of the last 10 years, we have seen an increase in our enrollment. We've been blessed to have currently right now the largest enrollment in the school's history. The school was built in 1957. And over the last 10 years, our enrollment has increased about 80% in the high school and 73% overall enrollment increase in the last 10 years. And we attribute that to a number of things. We've been very aggressive in trying to develop our curriculum. For those of us who have been part of Zavarian for the early years, and I know I have some members here in the room that are part of those wonderful early years of Zavarian. I'm a graduate of 1978. We come out of a very standard and aggressive curriculum, okay, for college preparatory students. But we know that our education has changed and evolved over the course of the years. Our students now expect so much more from their high school experience. And so we have worked over the course of the last 10 to 15 years to build our curriculum. We've added STEM programs. We've added advanced placement courses. We've added pre-professional pathways. These are things that our current high school students really demand and our parents really expect from a Catholic education. And so over the course of these 10 years, it has been part of our strategic planning process to continue to find ways that we can enhance our curriculum, to enhance our offerings for our students, and to serve our community and our parents who are looking for a Catholic education. Part of our mission is, and really the core of our mission is that we are Catholic and we are faith-based education handed down to us by the Zavarian brothers. And our faith is very, very important to us. Part of what you'll hear tonight is an attempt for us to be able to provide our students with the necessary resources, both from a campus point of view as well as from a programmatic point of view, to be able to meet the needs of our students for the 21st century and beyond. When the school was built, it really was intended to really accommodate no more than probably 1,500 students. During the early years, those enrollments may have come close to that capacity. But over time, our enrollment had declined probably to under 1,000 students when I became president in 2009. We really did a look at our mission, an attempt to revitalize it, to make sure that we were offering the things that our families and our students demanded. I think that was the impetus for the start of a change in enrollment trends and demand for a seat at Severian. In 2015, we did an expansion of our current footprint to house our middle school Genesis program. And from that point, our Genesis program really just expanded exponentially. In 2016, we became a coeducational school, and we welcomed young ladies into our community. And from that moment on, we have seen rapid increases in enrollment. Each year, we generally have about 1,300 students that will apply for acceptance to the high school. We have certainly a limited number of seats that are available. When we started the planning process of our current strategic plan, we looked at ways in which we can continue to expand curriculum. We looked to our teachers to come up with new ways to be able to look at the course offerings to see what our kids needed. And so we added courses like STEM, engineering, biomedical sciences, computer science. We had pre-professional pathways, so students that are involved in law and economics can choose a pathway that highlights those particular courses in their junior and senior year. What we found is that our teachers were doing an incredible job of developing the curriculum, but we were running up against a roadblock, and that is space. We did not have the space anymore to continue to allow teachers to offer new courses. And right now we are currently, I would say, at about 110% capacity in our building. We never dreamed that we would have an enrollment of 1,750 students. So we, along with our board of trustees, have been working to see how we can continue to develop the resources that we have to further enhance our academic offerings, our extracurricular offerings, which, as you can imagine, with the addition of young ladies into our community, doubled the number of athletic teams and extracurricular teams that we offer. And at the same time, one of the things that we really look to do is to continue to move the Catholic teachings front and center to every student that comes into Severian. Our chapel now is a very, very small, modest chapel that is across from the cafeteria. Not the ideal location, certainly not the location that I would have selected if I were back in the day designing the school. And so it doesn't really meet the needs of what our mission speaks to. And so what we want to do is to be able to also create a space where students have an opportunity for prayer. Students have an opportunity to be able to do the things in campus ministry and all the faith-based efforts that we make. And part of our vision is to create a chapel that will be central to the campus, not tucked away in a little corner of the basement level, but to make it center of the campus, because it is at the center of our mission. And so we've been involved in a process with our architects and the design team to come up with a plan that would allow us to develop the space that we need for our growth. We, at 1,750 students, don't anticipate that we would want to take many more students. What we hope to be able to do with the expansion project of our campus is to be able to allow our teachers to have more room to develop the individual courses and the curriculum, and to actually be able to lower class size, which I think is a very important thing for our parents and our community. Right now, we are always faced with the dilemma of accepting students that want to be here and actually qualify to be part of our community, but having to turn some away because the class sizes are just getting too big for what you would need for a secondary education. This particular project for campus expansion would allow us the opportunity to gain additional classroom space. It would add an additional fabrication lab, which is critical to our STEM curriculum. It would add another science lab that is part of our AP curriculum. So the individual classes will be designed so that individual disciplines can take over a classroom and specialize it to meet their needs. Those that are looking to go into law, for example, will have a classroom that is designed as a courtroom to be able to meet the needs of the curriculum that we have at the higher levels. So there is purposeful thinking to the development of the educational spaces that we hope to develop through our expansion plan, as well as through an additional space that's dedicated to a chapel and a student center, which will allow for kids to do things after school. One of the things that we're most concerned about now is giving our young kids an opportunity to be at Severian as long as they want to be there. Parents are working. Oftentimes, they really desire for their kids to be involved in something that is structured, that is supervised, that is educational. Instead of having kids go home at 2:30 and be on their tablets or watching TV, we want to be able to provide them opportunities for extracurricular efforts and extracurricular activities. And that would come into play with our multi-purpose space and our athletic center that is also part of the new plan. All of these things, we've worked together with our team from Perkins Eastman, and they've worked to develop a plan that Jesse from Perkins Eastman will speak to, and how we have worked with them to really, I think, make the best use of the available space that we have on Shore Road. Severian is one of 13 schools in the Severian Brothers Sponsored Schools Network. And there are 13 schools throughout the country. We are the school with the largest enrollment of our 13 Severian schools, and we have the smallest footprint. So when we have our brothers and sisters that visit us from Massachusetts and from Louisville and Baltimore, they're like, how do you do all of this within 2 square city blocks? And so, well, we're from Brooklyn, so we know how to do these things. But we do need to try to develop the small amount of space that we have, and that is why we're looking for support for our application, which, as Jesse and Shelley will go into more detail, will require the variance from the Board of Standards and Appeals. The space is all contained within our existing Genesis space and parking lot. So it's a proposal to go one level above Genesis and into part of our parking lot. And so that is the general plan that we ask for support from our community. We're proud to be part of the community. We hope to be able to work together to make sure that the needs of our kids, the needs of our parents, and the needs of our neighbors are all kept in mind and met in our efforts as we move forward with this application and with this project.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there an actual
Yes, so I'm gonna,
So if I could introduce our lead architect from Perkins Eastman. Architecture, and we worked with Jesse and his team for 18 years now. Jesse on numerous projects. This being share his designs and efforts on our behalf.
Thank you very much, Bob. So we will take you through, first of all, starting with an understanding of where on the campus we're talking about. We'll get into how, with Zavarian's leadership, we've been able to identify solutions for these programmatic challenges. And then we'll show you the areas where we're going to request a variance.
Point of order. Do you anticipate giving the entire presentation before we ask questions, or maybe ask them as we go along?
You can ask questions, both. You can ask them as we go, and then you can save some for the
Okay, I
end.
just wanted to
whatever
make
you
sure
like.
we're on the same page.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yes, thank you.
So, I think, most of us are familiar with, the Zavarian campus, just for orientation's sake. You can see Narrows Avenue and 71st Street there. And then if you advance to the next slide,
Oh, all right.
that.
This is next, did I skip?
No, there's two that look almost the same.
There you go.
That's just to highlight, if you look at the area closest to us, if you go to the next slide. That's the area where we're discussing,
Mhm.
right? So there's an area along Shore Road where the original school occupies. We're not looking at that at all. We're just looking at the elements along Narrows. If you go one more slide, we're gonna look from 71st Street, and that's looking north from 71st Street. Narrows is on your right, and McKay is the next block up. And this is the area we're discussing. If you go one more slide. So the highlighted area on top there in the near ground, that is one of the areas that we're looking to expand. Below that is the existing Genesis, the middle school. So just to illustrate that, part of the project is building straight up on the footprint that we already have. And then the other elements in the background are new elements that are being built on the McKay side of the parking lot. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we're in the same orientation. 71st Street is on the bottom of the slide, McKay is on the top, and Narrows is on the right. This is the existing Genesis program in gray, and then the blue on the right, that is a basketball court. And we have just enough space to get a basketball court in between the existing Genesis building and Narrows. And then one thing to highlight on the top there, this is an existing front yard non-compliance area. It's just when the zoning was introduced, the building was already there, and the setback created that little pizza slice of non-compliance. And as you see, we're requesting, one of the elements that we're requesting is that we can build vertically and within that area of non-compliance. Next slide, please. And this is on the left-hand side. This is the academic program that's built above Genesis. We have 7 classrooms here, 7 purpose-built classrooms here. And in the middle on the left, towards the gray, we have the fabrication lab, the larger lab on the left. And then on the right across the corridor from that is a science lab. So there's 7 classrooms and 2 labs with support spaces. Then on the right, the new building in the parking lot, that is the chapel and the student center. Of course, very central to the aspirations of Zavarian. So this is these are the solutions that we found to the program that's needed by Zavarian. Now, if you go one more slide, we're going to look at the areas of non-compliance where we're looking for a variance. So all of the yellow represents areas of lot coverage non-compliance, because of the site is broken up into several lots. So corner lots and through lots, we don't necessarily need to get into that, but there are some funny conditions that come as a consequence of that. Looking at this without a variance, the area that we have to build within the zoning is very limited, particularly above Genesis, where it would help us and be the most efficient and effective addition. And then in the parking lot, there are some really small areas where we're requesting a variance where the implications of those areas would really make complicated and confounding architecture.
Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. So this area here in the yellow over what is a small student lounge area. If we needed to, if we had to stick to the zoning, right, that would be carved out of the building. So we would have
Gotcha, okay.
yeah, like a flat iron shape cut out of the building. We'd lose an opportunity. That area, along with the foyer there, serves as a pre-function space for
You
the,
need a variance for that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything in yellow. Okay, the two elements are the existing front yard in red, and then the lot coverage in yellow. And yes,
Can you just explain why the yellow part where the lab is non-compliance,
Mhm.
but the gray part to the right is in compliance?
absolutely. That's a great question. We have to connect for egress. We have to connect back into the existing building. The stairs here and here. If you can highlight those for our remote viewers.
In here.
Those are how people get down and out to the public right of way.
Right.
So we have to maintain that corridor, this corridor that goes around, we have to maintain that. So all of this area and, from here to here has to be maintained. And then, so this we can get rid of, that we can get rid of within the, the egress
Right.
strategy. And then we use the Fab Lab here. It could have been distributed differently, but that's how we distributed it, made one space or captured one space rather than 2 or 3.
And you're adding another exit there, right?
We're adding 2 here,
Two.
stair H and I.
Yeah.
And then stair G is existing, but we're expanding it to bring it up all the way to the roof.
Okay.
We're also introducing an elevator for ADA requirements to make that.
Great, thank you.
On the right-hand side, that is the second story of the new
Yeah,
addition.
that's the first 1 story above
And
yeah.
the basketball court is
is
that subterranean?
it's
Below grade.
sunken
grade.
and
And and one level up.
yeah, when we sunk that down to make sure that we were remaining within the maximum.
And in terms of your frontage, that is, I see a little sliver of yellow. but
Yeah.
that everybody's
it's covered
covering.
by that.
The people.
Yeah.
I can
help Which- this you. Oh, okay,
So this is
That there was a, yeah,
over
okay.
over here,
There.
okay, perfect.
And that's the.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what you meant by moving the
Yeah.
people. I was
Sorry.
like, what you saying? What people?
Should have been more explicit, but, and that is, that exceeds, or is that 10 feet?
Yeah. And again, that could have been elsewhere. That's it's an area that we're over, so that area could be realized anywhere. But that was the most practical, even though it's not practical. Yes.
I do have a question about the chapel. And I've read what you said about the chapel in here, and I truly understand it. But I'm a little bit confused, having gone to Zvarian myself, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I don't understand why, for all these years, okay, I mean, the small chapel that we had there was, really not adequate for any purpose whatsoever. But we had masses, we had communions, we had everything in the auditorium. Why is that something that you feel is a priority at this point?
I can respond to that,
Yeah.
Steve. Yeah.
I hope it's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So the auditorium right now is used during the course of the day, every period for our music program. Music program has about 800 students in it. and 28 performing groups. And so that blocks out where we used to be able to go during the day for things. So that's or things of that nature, where we're kind of constrained with the smaller chapel that we have. And that's why we're looking for a bigger chapel. And
It's not very big to begin with.
not,
what you're
no,
looking at here.
it's not big, and it will probably, Jess, I would say about 100 so students.
So it's fairly small.
So, it's not meant for a grade level type of mass, but part of our campus ministry program has been to bring classes down. You'd be so proud of the fact that right now kids enjoy going to chapel when they're free. When I was a student, I went to the cafeteria when I was free. But many of our kids today want to go to the chapel. We have rosary before school. And so a lot of these functions are functions that we would like to be able to have in a space that's appropriate for.
You've definitely answered the question. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stephanie, may I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
Stephanie, may I ask the question?
Yes, you please go ahead.
Okay, we see the plan here, and now having the greater knowledge of the plan, can we return to the three-dimensional drawing as seen from 73rd Street?
Next slide.
This side?
Yes.
Yes. Is there a reason why the lounge area where the crucifix is shown in this image rises higher than the rest of it in a I mean, is there a reason? Is there air conditioning equipment behind there, or what is the reason for the pop-up
Yeah. So
at the crucifix?
right. So it's there to communicate on the prominent south side on 71st, that is a chapel, right? There's a chapel behind there. There's a pre-function space in front of it, but it was important to Zavarian that we communicate what that space within that volume was, and that's why that pops up like this.
There also is, Jess,
Yes.
The opportunity for us to capture natural lighting in the chapel, with the elevation that Jesse designed, which we think is very critical to a prayerful space to have the natural lighting come in. And so Jesse did an incredible job of being able to design that, and I think that also helps in the design, was to be able to get that verticality in there.
Absolutely.
Right, but the natural light would still have all of its possibilities, even if that were flush with the height of the rest of the area, correct?
No, on the opposite face of the extrusion above, there are windows that face the south. So it's not a skylight. It is a vertical pane of glass that sits on the opposite face of the projection above, and that's how we're basically scooping light there. It's a light register.
Jesse, is that not the lounge right there, not the chapel?
So this space is projected across. So on the opposite face there, on the McKay side, there is they're like brother and sister extrusions that come up above the roof line. So yeah, so on the McKay side, that is a light well. On the south side here, it's partially a lounge, but also if you go back to the plan there, the egress stairs is inside of that. And it does not have, doesn't relate to the projection above the roof line, however.
Thank you.
And how many feet above the roof line does that extend?
Amra, how many feet above the roof line is that? I could ballpark, but she'll know the exact.
Hi, are you asking about the the cross or the projection? It's the projection, the solid portion is about 17 feet above the maximum building height, and it's a little bit more than 18 feet above the roof.
Thank
But
you.
that's an allowable obstruction.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and the cross is top is 27 feet above the roof.
okay, thank you. And the max height on that, on the two buildings? is 30
The roof is at 30 feet and the maximum building height is 32 feet. So we are below that.
Thank
Sure.
Committee members, do you have, there any other questions
At this point,
at this time?
are you finished with your presentation?
I'm okay for now.
This is the last
We
one.
do want to talk about the variance briefly, but then.
And Ralph had a question. But Ralph.
I just have one question.
Of course.
Are you intending this to be the new front door? Or is it a back door, or you're having both doors open?
No,
It
so,
almost looks like a front entrance now.
yeah, so we wanted
Very
to,
commanding.
to create an entryway there that leads into our existing Genesis,
Mhm.
but also to be able to also enter into the chapel and up through the elevator. You can get into the second level, which is the new addition, and then up into the rooftop as well.
But you're gonna keep.
But the main,
The main entrance.
the main
on-
entrance will still remain on Shore Road, yes.
Sure.
Mhm.
And the Genesis entrance still,
Still be here,
There,
yes,
okay.
correct.
if there are no other questions from the committee up to this point, we'll go ahead and proceed. You wanted to speak about the variance. Thank you.
Stephanie, one more question.
Yes.
Do we
Yes.
have elevations of the rest of the sides, like of the McKay Place side?
That's not in this presentation.
Okay, Thank you.
They're in the application.
Application.
Yeah.
Yes, mhm.
They're in the application. So, good evening. My name is Shelley Friedman. My firm, Friedman and Gottbaum, is almost exclusively a land use and zoning firm. And very proud to be here representing Superior this evening. You've heard Bob describe the school's aspirations and its mission-related difficulties with its current bricks and mortar. And you've heard Jesse speak to the solutions to be able to overcome those deficiencies and provide the school with the relief that it needs to meet the directions the school wants to go in, as Bob has described. The reason for the variance is simply because the zoning resolution does not allow all aspects of the design that Jesse has described for you in two respects. And if we could go back one slide, please.
Right,
we'll be able to- One. Thank you. This will do it, as Jesse has walked through them. The Board of Standards and Appeals exists especially with regard to schools, to be able to provide moderate relief from the zoning resolution when the zoning resolution impinges on the school's ability to overcome, to meet its mission. And it will, through the application process known as a variance, it will investigate the architectural solution on two important grounds. One, that the architect's selection is the minimum necessary to afford relief. They want to make sure if they are going to grant a variance from the zoning, that it is as minor as can be to accomplish the mission. And when we get to the Board of Standards and Appeals, I expect that will be one aspect of their analysis. And the other, importantly, is to find that the proposal in no way injures the public or presents a threat to the public welfare. In an application this small, in terms of the zoning waivers, it's hard to make that argument. It does look to be innocuous, But the findings, but they will expect a discussion from us about how, we've managed to accomplish, helping Severian reach its goals in a manner which does no harm to the existing context, to the existing community, and to the neighborhood. And I think in this regard, most of the yellow that you see there, as you've heard, is already on top of the Genesis building. There are minor slivers in the newly constructed portion. Those have to do with a lot coverage waiver that is particular to the corner lot, which you see defined here. If it was a matter of combining the lot coverage with this lot, with the parking lot, we wouldn't have anything to talk about because the parking lot is zero. But the fact that we're required to analyze the corner lot as a corner lot triggers a small lot coverage non-compliance that we need the Board of Standards and Appeals to waive. Similarly, in 1957, when the building was built, when the existing campus was built, that was 4 years prior to the current zoning resolution going into effect. So in many respects, there are all kinds of small pockets of non-compliances on this site that are only there because it was built before the present zoning resolution was in effect. And there was no need to, it complied in 57. It doesn't, as of 1961, it hasn't complied. So we've got to get in the time machine and go back and take a look at these non-compliances where they lie, and ask the Board of Standards and Appeals to allow us to fill in that little slice there, because as Jesse said, to try and cope with it is both inefficient and programmatically it does not do as much for the school as being able to square it off. It's a relatively small place. The Board of Standards and Appeals is used to these situations for buildings built before 1961. We expect that they'll be able to support that application. But the application itself is, as I said, rooted in two principal points. One, is this application the smallest waiver necessary to free up Severian to accomplish its mission and fix these academic and athletic deficiencies and spiritual deficiencies when you include the chapel in that. And two, is there anything in this which injures, threatens the community's public welfare? So those will be the two tests when we get to the BSA. Your recommendations will be extremely important to the BSA. They listen carefully to community boards, and so we ask you for your support in allowing these variances to go forward and be approved. That's really all I had to say about the variance process itself. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the BSA process and what goes into the BSA's determination.
Just to clarify, everything in gray, if you were to build just the gray, it's as of right.
Everything in gray is as of right. The variance application is limited to the second story addition, to Genesis, to the two slivers that you see on on one of the two corner lots, and the front yard requirement there that's presently non-compliant. That's it.
Thank you. Questions here in the committee? Oh, wait,
Yeah, I have a few questions. Number one, have you had any neighbor input here? And what has been the outreach to the neighbors and what's been the response? And do you expect to have any more in the future?
Well, in our view, the community board is the first stop on those discussions, so that the community as a whole can be informed about the application. We have provided notices and letters pursuant to the BSA's process to our immediate neighbors within 200 feet of the project. I'm not sure that we have any direct responses from them, but of course, we're here to listen, and we're here to listen to and as of tomorrow, we're here to listen to our neighbors if they want to approach us with with their concerns.
Yeah, and there was notification, Steve, that we did request of the applicant to provide, and they did provide, that for us. And additionally, we did, also publicize both this
Okay.
meeting and the meeting on the 15th of September.
And I should just add, there will be notices that go out from the BSA
Mhm.
to all of the surrounding neighbors about the BSA hearing, when it is, where it is. Hopefully, the community board will also notice that hearing when we understand when it is. So there'll be another public hearing
There's some
at the
public
BSA
question.
headquarters, at which the public will be able to testify and express their concerns.
Yeah, and there are members of the public both in the room and in the, at the Zoom virtually,
So when
yes.
What was done, that way, that's fine. Thank you.
Stephanie, may I ask another question?
Go
Where we see the footprint of the gym and the chapel and that wing, there are parking spaces there now? The chapel multi-purpose, volume with the gym below, is that currently parking space?
If it is,
Not all of it, but a good part of it is.
Okay, so, how many parking spaces do you have now and how many will you have with this solution?
roughly 52, 54 parking spaces currently. And I believe we wind up with 24 spaces.
Thank you.
Any other virtual committee, or real committee?
Follow up on Ann's question. So, does that mean that faculty and staff will be parking on the streets?
Yeah.
And what happens during construction? When that parking lot is taken over for construction activity? That means everybody will be parking on the
So
streets. It may
we're-
overwhelm the neighborhood in terms of.
So we're actively looking right now for locations that we can identify for temporary off-site parking. And we have buses that are leased by the school. And our hope is that if we can identify some off-site parking, that we're going to make that available to staff members with a shuttle that we'll use to bring them back and forth so that there isn't an overload of staff members looking for parking during the time of construction.
Okay.
Any ideas where?
We're still looking.
You try the supermarket?
And certainly, yeah, we're open for suggestions. Okay? But certainly that's a cost that we're absolutely willing to take on to kind of work with the community to make sure that that we can mitigate any issues that are ongoing.
Yeah, because parking is becoming a premium in the city.
Parking is
It's
everything in
getting more-
Brooklyn.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
we are fully aware of
Here it's
that.
becoming more and more of a premium and a problem.
To that point, one of the concerns I think the community may have is the additional congestion after the build is complete. I know you had mentioned that your primary objective is to reduce class size, and I think in the document, Genesis was noted trying to reduce it maybe from 34 to 28 students, but does that necessarily preclude you growing the Genesis body while simultaneously reducing those class sizes? And then with respect to Zavarian, the high school, what is the objective there?
So absolutely, there is no plan to grow the Genesis program beyond where we are. In fact, we are just trying to do the opposite.
Okay.
We're trying to bring those numbers down. We had set out for a number in our enrollment from our strategic plan, in the area of about 1,600. So our goal over time is to be able to see if we can bring the enrollment down. I mean, I know it sounds a little bit odd for Catholic schools looking to bring enrollment down, but we are trying to right size the enrollment. And for us, I think the ideal enrollment number would be around that 1,600 number. So although this gives us added capacity, for sure, the intention is really more to give dedicated, specialized classroom space to our faculty and students, and to bring class size down. So that we would not anticipate that there would be more people within the institution, for sure.
So long-term, you're not talking about additional buses or necessarily,
Correct.
you can never tell about parents driving or students driving, but there's no, the concern would be that a simultaneous expansion with the physical plant, the growing of the student body and the attendant issues.
Yeah, and we're very conscious of the fact that, you know, when there are larger events at the school, that does create, you know, congestion in the area. We've been very cognizant of that. You know, obviously, we don't want to take away from the opportunities of the students to have concerts or plays or whatnot. But for example, when we have parent meetings, oftentimes, you know, we will open it up for remote access to a meeting. So, you know, the evening meetings, we've tried to reduce, we've tried to consciously limit the number of things that could happen that are not critical to the life of a school. You know, certainly, you know, we don't want to stop a concert, okay, from performing or a play, a musical or whatnot. And those naturally will bring people as they will in any school. That's part of an educational environment. But where possible, we hope to be able to reduce any not non-necessary meetings on the school campus.
Thank you.
We have Carmelo.
Oh.
Carmelo, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, I do. I understand that this is still in the planning process, but how long do you anticipate construction to last? And I know this is an estimate because I'm in the industry.
We don't anticipate it going more than 23 months from the start of initial construction.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Including summers.
Yes. Yeah.
That would begin next year.
The hope is that we would begin in the spring of 26, spring into the summer of 26.
Pierre?
Yes, I mean, in terms of how the community views the school, when you decide whether or not a student is to be accepted, how much weight do you give to the fact that they may live in a neighborhood?
That generally does not necessarily enter into a decision on acceptance of a student. You know, we do draw students from all parts of the city, and I think part of our mission as a Catholic school is to certainly continue an outreach to families that are underrepresented. And so, you know, we welcome all families from all parts of Brooklyn, and certainly we do have families that come to us from the other boroughs. But we generally do not use geography as a deciding factor for the admissions process.
Okay, thank you.
Josephine, do you mind moving the bar with the committee outside? Oh,
Okay, so
perfect.
that's
Thank
probably
you.
easy.
Any other committee questions before I move on to the public? Oh, Pierre, do you still have a question? Another, okay.
Okay.
Ralph, please.
I have a zoning question. Did you consider building up the existing school, and would that be within as of right, or is that not feasible? Well, if you think of the height on the
32,
existing,
yeah.
on the existing.
You have special
So that would,
district
if you built
regulations.
up,
As
that
you
would
know,
also
very
require
special
a
district
variance.
regulations.
Yeah.
So either way, there's a variance.
I was curious about that. I don't want to get into the so granular, but the front half, isn't that in an R6A? Does that
Small portion.
only a small portion? Okay. I was curious about how that
Yeah,
weighed out. All right.
okay.
Okay. If there are no more questions from the committee, I'd like to move on to the public. I know we have some.
There's a few
You-
questions in the chat. If I could go through those. Will there be an opportunity for those of us affected property owners to ask clarifying questions Yes, so if you're in the attendee room and you have a question, you could use the hand raise function and we will call upon you. There is a question about the statement of findings declares that the essential residential character of the neighborhood and the R5B zoning district will be unchanged by the continuation and moderate expansion of school use, which is a conforming use in the underlying resident zoning district. Additionally, the document states that the expanded campus will still be significantly underbuilt. How can it be that the residential character of the neighborhood will be unchanged and that the campus will be underbuilt when the Department of Buildings is objecting to the project due to the plans exceeding current residential zoning regulations?
So since the statement of findings is prepared by my office, I'll take the first crack at that response. The zoning permits schools as a matter of right. Typically, the issue of a change of character would arise if you were going in the direction of some use that the zoning resident that R6 or R5 does not permit. A commercial bank building, industrial building, or the like. Here, where the use is already permitted by the zoning, the presumption is that that's in character with the with the zoning district in which the building is located. So here we have a zoning district which permits schools as a matter of right. That's not changing. Severian is a school, it will remain a school, and so the residential character issue we believe is easily discussed in those terms. The broader context of school building is a big building. It's across the street from moderately scaled residential buildings. Well, that's been a situation since 1957. And it's very unlikely that I think the board is going to consider that the small increments that you're seeing here, and I use small, I'm not trying to convince you they're small, but in terms of just the math, the minor increments that you see here are going to be of such magnitude that they're going to change the character of the school, the use of the school buildings, or have an impact on the neighboring buildings. And that's what the residential character issue was meant to address. The school overall, over the entire zoning line, is underbuilt and will remain underbuilt. It has plenty of floor area. It is the bulk requirements that lock in lot coverage and height and setback and yard requirements that are like a balloon that just gets tighter and tighter and restricts this building to the point where it cannot even maximize what it's been given by the zoning resolution because of this conflict between pre-1961 building zoning and post-1961 zoning, which created these non-compliances. So that there is still plenty of floor area available to the school. Interestingly enough, with this variance, it will not be usable unless we come back to the Board of Standards and Appeals and ask to modify our variance, which means the community will have, whereas today, the community would have no say in an as-of-right expand utilization of those floor area after the BSA variance is in place. We will be bound to come back to the community and ask for your permission to deploy what is otherwise as-of-right underbuilt floor area.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stephanie, you have 3 questions from the public. Did you want to?
You've got.
Yes, I have them.
Okay,
So,
please.
Dominic Peterson, Dominic, you should be able now to unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, thank you. I'm on the list of affected property owners, so I thought it was really important to come. This is actually my first community board meeting that I've attended, so happy.
Welcome.
I live directly across the street from Zavarian, and actually my windows overlook the parking lot. So this project would really directly affect me. I have a small child, and so I just want a couple of more details. I looked through the majority of the documents that were made available to us through that Dropbox that was linked in the community board notice. So thank you for answering that first question that I had. My second question is, I noticed, I heard that when you were discussing the vertical height of the buildings, there was a discussion about the reason for the height of the buildings being as high as they are is for an opportunity to scoop natural light. And so I'm just wondering how that taking advantage of that natural light for your purposes is not going to rob residents on the other side of the street where I live of that natural light that we currently do have in south-facing windows.
So the light scoop occurs in maybe an area that's 25 feet wide. So during the course of a day, having direct sunlight into a window across the street, that might impact it, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, something like that, through the course of the day, depending on the time of the year. But overall, I think the light that we all get into our windows is less of a direct light and more of an ambient light. And I don't believe that the chapel mass is going to have a impact on the amount of ambient light that you're getting from the distance across the street that it is. Are you on McKay?
I'm on the McKay side, yeah.
So there's a significant setback if you want to look at the plan. So let's see, how about going up to the first slide? So you can see on the corner where we are pushed back off the corner a significant distance.
Mm-hmm.
So that mass that's on the McKay side, that is scooping light, and you can see the windows there that are the light register.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plaza out in front of that sits between the street and the chapel. So that distance is going to be from the chapel to your apartment across the street, to your home across the street, is a significant distance. So the solar angle, I think you will get more, the sun will get blocked more by the trees that are closer along the line of the street than it will be by the chapel. I think the chapel will cast a shadow maybe on the sidewalk across the street.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not an architect. I just don't see how it wouldn't be significant if the building plans are taller than the tree line and the distance is not significant at all. I mean, I could read license plates across the street in the parking lot, basically. So I think the plans make it seem like the space is much larger than it is, but really it's a residential block. And so these areas are very close to each other.
It's not, the tree line's bigger.
The tree line is much taller than.
The tree line is going to be taller than the tallest part of the new build.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you go down the block, there's a taller portion that's closer to the Shore Road side. That is taller. That is taller than the chapel as well.
Okay.
So in terms of a relative scale, the elements that are already there are going to have a more significant impact than the elements that are being introduced.
Mm-hmm. Can I please ask one more question, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Okay.
Are there plans for the construction to avoid construction during school hours so that the students aren't disturbed? Would that be the general plan?
What the general plan will be is to avoid having any loud construction during those hours, right? So there's painting that goes on during construction, right? There are lots of things that are less noisy, but the more the tasks of construction that are going to be disruptive to the school environment, those are going to be shifted towards hours where students are not there. And
So hours outside when students aren't there, though, not that I would want students to have disturbed learning, but when students aren't there, that means that the residents are home.
and particularly times when the students aren't there. So during summer, for example, when the students aren't there, that's going to be a time when a lot of construction will happen. So the majority of the initial early construction is going to be in the summer when most students aren't there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the answer. And can you go
Okay,
ahead?
yeah, so the next, Ayad Assad. Ayad, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. You should be able to unmute yourself now and ask a question.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for uh, allowing me to participate. I'm also on the list of affected residents. Um, and I understand that Severian is a great institution for the neighborhood, and some of my friends have gone there and their children have gone there. Um, but it's also been a very bad neighbor for the people on McCabe Place. And I'm speaking about the traffic that goes with the school on a daily basis in the morning and in the afternoon as teachers come in and out of the lot, as parents and students get dropped off. People wait at the fire hydrants for pickups. When there are events, the people park on the sidewalks. And I'm very concerned about this planned construction, not only during the construction phase, which is 23 months, which seems like a very long time, and it's a very long time for a neighbor to live through, but also about what happens afterwards. And I was very concerned to hear that the parking lot itself is going to be reduced by almost half, it sounds, or about half of the by about half of the spaces. And I just can't see a way where this project is not going to increase congestion, noise in the neighborhood. And my family's personally witnessed 2 accidents that have happened on Narrows. When people, parents get upset at all the traffic, people in the neighborhood get upset at all the traffic. There's tons of honking, people's tempers flare. There have been accidents. I walk my daughter to school every day. I walk my dog. I'm concerned about crossing the street or having my daughter cross the street. So I just want to know, what, if anything, has been done to look at traffic and noise concerns as a result of this project. Thank you.
I can give you a partial response to that. As part of the BSA procedures, we're required to file what's known as an environmental assessment statement. And that takes into account all kinds of thresholds that the city requires, that if we exceed, we have to, we have to pay significantly more attention to them. The board will take public testimony on this question when we get to the BSA. It would appear that the incremental traffic associated with this enlargement is not going to by itself trigger a significant impact as far as traffic is concerned. I know that doesn't change your daily experience. It's a very analytical approach. I would urge you to take a look at the environmental assessment statement that's in the package that we have put, in the on public view. And if you feel there are issues that require comment, we'd encourage you to comment on. So that, by the time the BSA is ready to make a decision, it has everybody's point of views in the record. But that is the process by which the BSA asks us to begin to look at things like traffic, both in terms of the construction period and separately the ongoing life of the project should it be approved. So those mechanisms are there, and if you have any questions, they can certainly be brought to the school's attention, and then discussed again at the BSA hearing. I hope that's been responsive to your question.
Okay, so next, public Maria Pally. Maria, you can unmute now.
Yeah, hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Great. So, question, with this expansion, I'm assuming that you guys are gonna be admitting in more students?
The plan is not to increase enrollment, but to give the existing enrollment an opportunity for more targeted and specialized educational spaces. And in reality, the hope of the school is that our enrollment will not increase, but actually we're trying to limit the number of students that we are able to serve.
Okay, because somebody who lives in the neighborhood and sees the traffic and the buses and the parents and the noise is having a hard time understanding why you're not taking your resources and working with that, because it's a danger to your, because I heard the whole speech in the beginning, great, you care about your faculty, your students, but your students are in danger crossing the streets with buses and parents double parked 3, 4, 5 blocks down. So my question to you is, if you have this extra income, which is great for Xaverian, you want to make it bigger and better for the existing students, why don't you take it and work on the existing problem of the traffic and the cars and the danger that is to your students and to your faculty and to your neighbors? Because I agree with the last gentleman that spoke prior that Xaverian is not a good neighbor. So that's my question to you, is if you do have these resources, why don't you fix your current problems as opposed to expanding, leaving the problems that are within the neighborhood?
We are sensitive to the congestion that any school will bring. This is not unique to Xaverian. Any school will have to deal with the concentration of students and the associated adults that are part of that community. And we have tried continuously to work with the city. We just recently were successful in getting a traffic light, which we have been trying to get for many years. And with the help of our community and the local officials, that we were finally successful in getting a traffic light, because we know that's essential for safety of community, students, and parents. Likewise, we've also petitioned the city and the MTA to do an assessment of the busing that comes down 71st Street. Again, you know, these are things that perhaps the community is not aware that we have done, but we do these things. We've asked the MTA to look at a potential for rerouting buses so that it doesn't come down 71st Street, which makes traffic for everybody, including the residents, of a problem. They promised that they would be doing that this fall. So again, we're trying to do that. You know, we certainly have another, you know, issue of city bikes that will be part of our community, and we're trying to find the reasonable solutions to work around what the mandates are for that initiative. But you know, we certainly are committed to working with our neighbors for safety of our kids and safety of our neighbors. But the reality is that a school is going to be, by its very nature, a place where there's large concentrations of kids and of adults, and there's not much we can do with that, but continue to try to work as best as we can to mitigate any issues.
Are there any opportunities internally to work collaboratively with the students and the parents to educate? And I know that's very difficult. I do, but I'm very familiar with intersections around the school. They are very dangerous. And I was correct in knowing that the public would be very concerned about the expansion. There's no evidence that you're going to expand the student body. Again, we discussed that. But again, with the additional construction, or the construction and the additional movement, there will be construction vehicles and workers. It exacerbates the existing problem. So making internally is there an opportunity to do that?
Stephanie, may I ask a related question?
our faculty, staff, and parents on Mr. Shower will do that again next week with them. You'll be
Is it disconnected or it's only me?
It seems that they're on mute.
I'm sorry.
I can't hear them anymore.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
We
Yes, ma'am,
actually
thanks.
lost internet and it came back, and I guess it came back automatically on mute as it does. My apologies. We did lose internet connection for a few minutes, maybe two minutes.
So Steve and then David.
Yes, I just have a question about the cemetery. Okay, I understand that Varian actually required title to the cemetery. Somebody had advised that, but either way, I didn't think that would be accurate. I just wanted to make sure that how does this affect the cemetery, if at all? And do you have, I mean, what would you do in order to preserve that sacred space under these circumstances? Because you're really increasing this a lot.
Right, that this project has no impact upon that space. That space is technically carved out and not part of the property. We've worked together with the Bay Ridge Historic Society in having our kids upkeep that for the longest time. That there was no upkeep to that sacred ground. And we've worked together with our students. So our students now take it upon themselves as part of their volunteer work to upkeep that and to preserve the dignity of that space. But this project would really have no impact upon that. And Shelley, I think you could speak a little bit more on that.
It was requested by the Landmarks Commission, actually, that we look into what our construction impacts might be. And the school has spent a significant amount on studies, including subgrade sonar and the like, to make sure that wherever it's going to be digging, there are no remains. It appears from historical documents that there are probably more remains in the street bed and beyond than on the Varian lot itself, just as the way historical tracks lay out. But we've confirmed that we'll have no impact on what you see there. And we've confirmed that there's nothing underground, specifically remains, that will be affected or moved.
Just looking at it in here, and I recognize that this is not measured. It appears to me that there's like the building right in the back there abuts right on the cemetery. Do you do any kind of shoring up or anything of that nature?
It will all be protected during construction. I mean, in our material, and the folks that wrote that material are here on Zoom tonight. If we want to get into it in greater detail, it appears that the cemetery stones themselves were not original to the bodies that were interred there. That they may have come from other sites. They may have been moved from street bed. But what you see there has no relationship to the historical use of that ground as a burial ground. It's not technically a cemetery. Cemeteries have to be registered nationally. It's not considered a cemetery for any regulatory purpose, but it is an ancient burial ground and it needs to be respected. And I think Bob has indicated what the school is doing on a voluntary basis to maintain appropriate respect.
I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you, Staley.
I wonder if there are opportunities, since you're doing work in your parking lot anyway with all these with these additions, to build in some traffic mitigation. I don't know exactly what you would do, but to put in like a loop for parents to drop off, or designated spaces for them, or something along those lines. I would be interested in seeing something like that, some sort of like mitigation for traffic built into this plan, if something like that's possible, since you're working there anyway.
Well, that, from what I'm understanding, that would be something in the street, and that's beyond, or that would be something that the DOT would.
No, I actually mean the opposite. I believe right now that lot is like a gated enclosed parking lot, right? I'm wondering if you're reconfiguring that parking lot anyway, could it be configured where in a way that parents could drive in and drop off their kids or something along those lines, and get some of the traffic out of the street and onto the campus during, when
Yeah,
classes
I mean,
start,
it's
so.
something that I would absolutely love to look at.
Yeah,
And,
it'd be great.
I know for schools that have more space, the drop-off areas are just a great thing to have. I think that there'd be competing interests, because if we do that, then we displace probably the cars. So
Yeah.
then there'll be less parking, so it's which one we're gonna try to address. But I think if there's a way in which we can have people who are probably smarter than I figure it out, we would be more than willing to look at.
I think you've actually come, you with the space itself that you presented tonight, you guys have come up with some really nice solutions, right? In that space. It'd be neat to see if you can come up with something to with the parking lot as well, and maybe help the traffic problem.
Put these guys on.
Awesome.
Is there anyone else?
You know what, Maria, you did have your hand raised. I don't know if you had another question. We kind of lost you when we lost internet. Do you have another question? She's on mute. Okay, probably not then. Okay, I just wanted to make sure because we had lost.
Is there any resident in the room that has a question or a statement, or anyone would like to add anything? Yes, please go
I'd
ahead.
like to tell you that you're not a very good neighbor. And I've lived there for many years. Yesterday was orientation. And I'll tell you how your people park. A young man who apparently doesn't like parallel parking, because he not only took up, there were 3 available spaces that were parallel parking. He decided to park at the hydrant. Took a picture of it. See spaces in front of the car? This is parking. This is how they address us. Besides everything else, I'm just letting you know, you might be claiming to say you are helping the neighbors, and then with their parking or with their driving back and forth, but you're not. My grandchild went to Polyprep South by Prospect Park. The neighbors were furious. So Polyprep went to the precinct and they set up a routine. So parents came with their nursery kids to the 8th graders, came, drove up, dropped the kid off, and drove away. Your parents, they're high school kids. They can't even walk a block. They block my driveway so I can't drive out. And they tell me, please wait. My kid is coming out and he knows where I am. That's a good neighbor. I don't have a problem with a lot of the other things you said. Cemetery will answer my neighbors' questions because they all asked me to step on the cemetery, so I thank you for that. And I do think it's time that you really address the traffic. Buses can't go down. Cars can't go down. Then your school buses on Shore Road, they double park and double park, there's one lane. So if you don't make it in that one lane, you gotta wait for all those coming this. So you gotta set up with 68th precinct. Find out how to address your own school buses. Dropping off and picking up. So you're not a good neighbor.
Thank you for the input.
And I've been there since 56. Before you were built, and I've been to meetings. I'm a little bit older.
Thank you. Anyone else from the community? Okay, at this point, committee, is there any more
Yeah.
discussion? We do have. our
Stephanie,
Yes, ma'am.
may I just say one thing about the congestion and the traffic? Has it been tried at all to have a staggered opening time and dismissal times?
It is been something that we've studied. We've looked at. It is difficult with our program of studies to implement staggered times because of the complexity of our scheduling. It is something that we would certainly continue to look at to see if there are ways in which we could do something programmatically that could ease the congestion. It's just a very difficult thing to take on with all of the different variables of scheduling grades 6 through 12 in a limited space to be able to configure a schedule that does stagger. But it's a great idea. And I think, looking at it and pursuing that is certainly a worthwhile thing that we certainly will commit to.
The committee, we have our general meeting on, Ralph.
yes.
Please go ahead.
Just building on what the neighbors were asking about the construction and the noise. So when you said that you were not going to do construction during the school year or during the school time, does that mean 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.? Does that mean Saturdays and Sundays? Does that mean drilling, on weekends? Just so the neighbors have a clarification.
I think there are
when there's gonna be
clear
noise.
requirements, okay, that dictate, the times at which construction can happen. I think what Jess was referring to is that, we hope to be able to, with this project, do a lot of the heavy lifting during the summer hours, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock to whatever the times are, when there are less students. But certainly, we have no anticipation that we will be doing things on Saturday nights or Sunday mornings or 11 o'clock at night. Absolutely not. We would not do that.
Okay, so if you're not doing work during the school day, then when would you be doing?
Well, it's not that we wouldn't be doing work during the school day. What happens is the construction manager or general contractor will organize his workforces, and they identify work that is particularly noisy. And those will be shifted to times when they're, when the students aren't there, whether that is, at 4 o'clock after the students leave, or whether that's before the students arrive. That's something that will be coordinated with us and with Sept. But it doesn't mean that construction doesn't happen. It just means that we prioritize moving some of the more disruptive things around.
I'm just concerned that there'd be noisy activities in the evening or early morning before school or after school, because if they start at 4, they're not going to quit at 5.
No, the construction crews have their times that they're there, right? So that they don't go 5, they don't go 4 really, maybe to 4, but they don't go 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. That's not that's not the hours of construction.
Okay, I think that's what the neighbors are concerned about.
No, I
Like,
fully understand
late
that.
night or weekend consistent work.
When we're looking at just blocks of time, whether it be summer, over periods where the school is in recess, February or Christmas recess.
Right.
We make use of the times and try to schedule bigger parts of the project then. During the regular day, there's lots of other things involved in construction that are not necessarily the big noisy things. The disruptive stuff. But the big stuff, we hope to be able to hit in those first months, when school is not in session.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments from the committee? And moving on, again, general meeting is on the 15th, so if you need more time to discuss, please let me know. Otherwise, we will need a motion for the next meeting, for the general meeting. This is to, I guess, support the application to the Board of Standards and Appeals. Or not, I mean, the motion.
Yes, no, I'm not making a motion.
Okay.
I am advising that I'm recusing on this, and I wanted to be clear because that's what you have to do when you're
Yes.
a recusal. I have two institutions here that I love. Okay, I wanted to be clear that it would be very hard for me to vote against Xaverian if or for Xaverian under these circumstances. To be clear, my father, my two uncles, both of my brothers, my cousins, and my son, all and me, okay, all went to Xaverian High School. I'm very proud of Xaverian High School, and I support Xaverian High School in virtually everything. However, right now I'm also on the community board and have an obligation to this community. And under those circumstances, I think it makes it impossible for me to be fair to myself and to the community and to Xaverian. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention, I think I was on Xaverian's
Board of Trustees.
Board of Trustees, yeah.
for many years. Okay, so under the circumstances, I'm going to recuse myself. And that's not a refusal to vote, that's a recusal, and I believe what that does is mean that it's as if I'm not here, and how it's calculated comes with the number of people who are here and who vote -1. Okay,
Thank you.
Stephanie, I'm willing to make the motion.
Okay, may I just, Sandy has his hands up. I would like him to go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi, thank you,
Oh,
Stephanie.
sorry.
From listening to the discussion, I haven't heard anything, any objections to the building of the additional proposed things that the Xaverian needs for the students. One thing I will tell Xaverian in listening to some of the neighbors' comments, if there's anything that you can do to become better neighbors, I think traffic is your biggest issue, and if there's anything that you could do to alleviate bothering the neighbors or having their driveways blocked, or maybe advising the parents that that disturbing the neighborhood in that manner is not very neighborly, and it's causing you a problem. I haven't heard anything to the contrary of the building, but I think maybe an education for the parents and the students, if there's anything that you guys could do to alleviate the traffic concerns of the neighborhood.
Thank you, Sandy. Anne, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was going to say that I'm willing to make the motion.
Oh, please do.
Yes. I move that we support the application as presented.
Just simply that.
Yeah. Unless I would certainly welcome any friendly amendments to that, if there are any.
Well,
Could we put in an amendment about studying the traffic as part of that, or
that can be presented.
as an amendment?
For a protocol, how's that added on procedurally?
So you're asking Anne to make a friendly amendment to her motion to add that transportation, education, or considerations be made, and as part of the motion.
Part of the motion.
In our
Yes.
recommendation. Okay, yeah. So then that's the motion, then we would need a second.
Are you seconding or are you asking a question?
I'm asking a question.
Well, he's on the committee, so he
Oh, you're
can't.
not on
answer
the
the committee,
committee.
yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
was thinking.
but you're not on the committee.
Not the committee.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
I
Okay,
think.
well, we have to move ahead. There's a motion on the floor.
Second with,
Okay, Pierre seconded the motion, and then all in favor? Any opposed? We have a recusal. Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Support the application.
Excuse me,
Right.
are
Yeah.
you adding the parking or just the,
That was,
is that gonna be part of your?
Well, yeah, part of the motion was
So
to,
could you repeat the motion?
yeah. So the motion was to support the application with the addition of commenting on the transportation concerns of the neighbors, whether it's education. There was a bunch of recommendations that were made about transportation here. Yeah. Okay.
no, it's passed.
It's passed.
And,
Oh, that's passed, but you can't have discussion.
Well, yeah.
no,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
more
that's it.
discussion. I'm sorry, that portion is closed, but Steely, if you have a quick question, because we have a second item on the agenda.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay. We do have a second item on the agenda that's very quick, but you're not obligated to stay. I know
Yeah.
you had spent a very long evening here, and we thank you very much for your
I do want to
presentation.
say to attendees both here from the public and who are on Zoom that this item will be presented at the general board meeting for the full board to review and consider. And everyone's invited to attend that meeting. That is actually the public hearing where the committee chair will present the variance application to the general board. We welcome, that not all of you have to be there, but if one or two of you want to be there in case there are questions from the general board members at that meeting, you're welcome to attend.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you. Appreciate you running through.
It was good seeing
Great to see you. Give my best. How's he doing?
you. Oh, everybody's. I'll tell him, absolutely.
Send them out.
I will go.
My best passwords.
Sorry, you see what my conflict is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy cigar
Congratulations.
night.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Another comment with you.
Sure.
So when.
Oh, could be
I'm
outside the
sorry,
room,
we're
please?
still-
Yeah, okay.
We're still live streaming. And this won't take much time.
Yeah.
I think it's on the 2nd of September. This is in celebration of the 100th year of the Art Deco movement. On September 2nd, we had a meeting with Ralph Commercino from our committee. Tom McCarthy, who's the president of the Bay Ridge Historical Society, Henry Stewart, also from the Historical Society, and Victoria Hoffmo from the Bay Ridge Conservancy, how to proceed with this celebration. And our desire is to have a tour, a walking tour of a few Art Deco buildings in Community Board 10, but very specifically a small cluster of buildings to make it a feasible walk, perhaps an hour to an hour and a half. The target time for that is mid-November to late November. In support of that, the meeting attendees are going to provide a list of suggested sites, some of their favorite sites. And it's not meant to be an extensive tour, but they will contribute to a shareable document or a spreadsheet. The committee is also welcome to contribute to this. If you have a particular site that you're thinking of, any of the Art Deco buildings in Community Board 10, Bay Ridge, Diker Heights, the Fort Hamilton area, please do send it to Josephine. Though the walking tour sites will be limited, the additional sites will be included for purposes of perhaps self-guided tours. Like if there's talk about having an intern put together or do some of the research, maybe put together a tour, a self-guided tour, or to do a building of the week and have that information posted on or in the CB10 newsletter. And Henry Stewart also invited us to put that on the Historical Society's blog to gain more attention and to build up the interest for the walking tour in mid to late November. Again, you are all welcome to contribute your ideas, and we are anticipating meeting again, having a follow-up meeting in about 2 to 2.5 weeks from now.
So there's been some, there was actually an article that was published in Art Deco website.
Yeah.
That was written by Victoria Hoffmel from the Bay Ridge Conservancy and Kelly Carroll from Bay Ridge Historical. And there was already a number of sites in that article. So I'm going to share that with you all so you could see some of the sites that have been studied already and published that we're going to build upon. So if you have any additional sites to let me know, but I'll send you those links because I think it's pretty cool. You could take a look at it and read the article. I found another article today. So yeah, so that was by HDC of some Bay Ridge locations. Yeah, a Historic Districts Council.
So that's the upcoming event for CB10. Again, all of your contributions are welcome. If you want to identify an Art Deco building or buildings, please do let us know. And certainly, when the tour takes place, please attend. But if there's nothing else, we are ready to adjourn. Anyone want to make a motion?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
Thank you all for attending.